Welcome to Wrong Time Watch. My name is Kevin, and in this video we're looking at 6 watches of similar size or similar styling. I don't know the best way to do this video, and I don't even know what I'm going to call the video, but we'll just have a little comparison here between these 6 watches, or I should say among these 6 watches. So we have the Smith's Everest PRS 25. We have the Traska Commuter. We have the Traska Summiteer version 1. I don't have version 2, but I would like to buy one eventually. Then we have the Armida A6. Then we have the Borealis Adraga. And on the right, we have a custom Explorer 1016 homage watch. Yeah, just threw that one in here. So Smith has the 9039 movement. So these all have Miyota movements. These 5 here. Miyota 9039, Miyota 9019, Miyota 9039, Miyota 9039, Miyota 90S5. And this watch has a top grade ETA 2824 movement. Prices, talking about $505 shipped to my door. This one $565, $550 on the Summiteer, $450 on the A6. The Adraga is $450 as well. And the custom watch, I don't know what the sum of the parts is. I bought it used for less than all of these watches, actually. The Smith is quite difficult to order. He has limited windows to order them. You can order this July 2021. This one is out of stock. Last time I checked, it may be back in stock now. I don't know. This one too, version 2, is in and out of stock. The A6 is actually out of stock right now. The Borealis Adraga, you can pre-order it. $225 for the pre-order, and then when the order comes in, you pay the rest, the other $225. And I don't know about the shipping. I think you still have to pay for shipping on this. I haven't bought one of the watches from Borealis in a while. I've actually purchased this one used. Actually, this is the only one. I bought this one new a few months ago. I bought this one used, and used. So that's usually how I buy watches. Is I do have watches that I look for, that I want to buy and review and spend some time with. I shouldn't say review. I present them on the channel. I don't really review watches per se. Just look at them and share my opinion and thoughts with you guys. Water resistance, 100 meter on the Smiths, 100 on both the Traskas. The Armida and the Adraga, the Borealis, 300 meter water resistance for both of these, which still blows my mind. This one, I have no idea. Maybe 50 meters, maybe 10. I really don't know. I'm not going swimming with this watch, that's for sure. All have sapphire crystals. These all have domes. Well, the version 1 of the Summiteer has a flat crystal, but version 2 has a domed crystal. Also, the case shape of the new Summiteer is more like the Commuter. It's more of a rounded case shape. This one's is flat-sided. I would say kind of flat-sided, but it really is flat-sided. And the crown on the new Summiteer is more like this crown, where it has a little bit of a relief on the front of it here. And I think the Lume has been improved on the new one. I like this watch. I think it's a good size. I really do need to buy the version 2, and that if I buy the version 2, that may be a keeper, and I'll sell these. The version 2 is just much more refined. It has a box domed sapphire crystal. It has the more rounded case, which I really like. This has a great case shape to it. Really like the crystal on this too. This one, I'm on the fence on if it's too big or too small. I think I like the sizing of this one more for my wrist. I'll try all these on my wrist in a moment. Also, I like the display case back on this. Looking at the Miyota 9039 movement. Among these 6 watches, the commuter is the only one with a date. I would like this watch better without a date. I've gotten to the point where I've kind of narrowed down what I like on watches, and I don't really need a date on a watch. I can check it on the phone or on a computer. So, yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, lug widths on all of these, 20 millimeter lug width. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. Maybe I'll go over some of the oddball specs. These two here are both anti-magnetic, the Smiths and the Armida. This is anti-magnetic to 4,800 AM, and this one is anti-magnetic to 70,000, which is crazy to me. 300 meter water resistant and rated to 70,000 anti-magnetic. I would say these two watches are the most similar among the bunch here. Yeah. The cases are very similar looking. This one is a much thicker watch though, which makes sense with the higher anti-magnetic rating and also the 300 meter water resistance. Both have oyster style bracelets. The Smiths is the only one with fake rivets. Okay, weight on all of these, looking at 125 gram on the Smiths, 115 on both of these Traskas, which is kind of strange because this one is a larger watch, 38.5 versus 36. Go figure. And then the Armida is 125, same weight as the Smith, even though this is a thicker watch. I don't know how that works, but yeah, so. And then the Adraga is 145 grams. This is the heaviest of the bunch. And then this one here is 85 grams, and that would be due to the slim case and also the hollow end link and just the cheap style stamped bracelet, and then the hollow center links. I think the end links are solid though. I'm pretty sure of that because it has screwed links. All of these watches have screwed links, which is great for sizing the watches. And we'll go over the Lume at the end, but this has X1C3 Lume. These two both have BGW9, as well as this one with BGW9, and this one has C3 Lume, the Armida. Okay, so go over the size quickly. 43.5 lug to lug, 36 millimeter case diameter, thickness 11.1. The crown size on this is quite small at 5.5. I do like the thinness of this watch though at 11.1. Commuter, very similar size, lug to lug, 44 millimeter, thickness 11.2. Case size on this measured at 36.5, and the crown a little small at 5.8. Oh, also the Traskas both have the scratch resistant coating. I've not worn these on wrist all that much to test it out, but I have seen videos of people scratching it and it seems to hold up quite well. Again, the female end link. All these watches have that female end link, which allow these watches to wear much better on wrist, especially a smaller wrist like mine, my 6.5 inch wrist. So I go over all the specs. Lug widths on all these, I think I already mentioned 20 millimeter, and all of these taper down to 16 millimeter, except for the Adraga. It goes from 20 down to 18. That's the one negative I have with this watch. in my limited time with it is that it does not taper down to 16. The clasp is quite big and chunky. Too big for a watch like this. For a dive watch, I think it'd be okay, but I would like a smaller clasp on a watch like this. Okay, Traska Summiteer. Version 2 will be a little bit different because of the dome crystal. So I'm assuming it'll be the same thickness as this, so we'll call that 11.2. This one here is 10.2, I believe. But version 2 will have a thicker watch because of the crystal. 46 lug to lug, 38.5 case diameter. And the crown, great size crown on this, reminds me a lot of my Black Bay 58 7mm crown. Very similar styling and look to that Black Bay 58. Okay, Armida A6, 44.1 lug to lug, case diameter 36. And the big negative on this watch for me is the thickness at 13.9 millimeter. It's just too thick. Make it 100 millimeter and take a good almost 3 millimeter off the thickness and it'd be great. And I don't need that 70,000 anti-magnetic property either, but still in pursuit of the perfect watch like this for me. Crown size 6.4 millimeter. So I think that's all the specs on that. Borealis Adraga, 47.5 lug to lug, 39.5 case diameter, 12.1 thick, so it's fairly thin actually for a 300 meter water resistance rated watch. And crown size on it is 6.8, so very similar crown size to the Traska Summiteer. Lastly, the custom watch, very similar in size to the Smith, 43.6 lug to lug, diameter of 36 millimeter. Thickness on this is 12. It could be thinner if it did not have this chunky display case back. And a crown size of 6 millimeter. So I think that is all of the specs I wanted to cover. Talked about the bracelet. On all these have solid N-link, solid link bracelet. This one has a safety clasp, dual pusher. This one's a little bit different. I've not seen a clasp like this that I can recall. It does have a safety clasp, but this is a friction fit. These two outer bars hold this one in place through these areas here that are peened. Works well enough. It's a little hard to open when it's not on wrist, but when it's off wrist, it's hard to open. But when it's on wrist, I didn't notice that big of a deal doing it. These two have this very similar clasp. It's not the same clasp, just dual pushers. I'm not sure if I'm assuming these have the exact same clasp, which would make sense from a manufacturing standpoint. The bracelet's even the same. Yeah, the bracelet it could be exactly the same as well. I'm not sure how the smaller diameter case plays into that. So anyway, it does not have a safety clasp, but it does have these dual pushers, so I think that will be secure enough. The Smiths, this version of the Smiths Everest clasp is not a good design, as I've talked about too many times. the hook in this, it popped off my wrist and I had to adjust it. But I noticed the new one has a similar clasp to this one here. I think the next release of this will have dual pushers on the side. So that will address the issue of this clasp either popping off wrist or being very difficult to get on and off wrist. Okay, let's try all these on wrist, and then we'll close out with a Lume shot. I don't know how good that video, I'm not sure how good that will be. It'll be zoomed out a bit, but anyway, here we go. 6.5 inch wrist, 43.5 lug to lug. Commuter, 44 millimeter lug to lug. It's this gorgeous white dial. It's a great watch. I wish it was a little bit less expensive, but it is what it is. It looks larger on wrist on camera than it does by my eye. Okay, Traska Summiteer, 38.5. Yeah, I really need to get the version 2 of this watch. I think I'll really enjoy it. I don't know about the handset though. We have the Mercedes handset. We have the, I think this is a Commando handset. And then this has a sword hand. So let me know in the comment which one of these watches you would purchase, which one looks the best on my 6.5 inch wrist. Okay, now we go to the Armida A6, which looks very similar to the Smiths, or the Smiths looks very similar to this one, however you want to look at it. Very similar size to the Smiths, 36 millimeter diameter, 44.1 lug to lug. It is a thick watch though, too thick for my liking. That's really the only thing holding me back on this one. Holding it back from being a keeper, I think, but we'll see. Okay, Borealis Adraga, 39.5 diameter, 47.5 lug to lug. Sorry, the clasp is just too chunky on this. Wearing all these other watches, having them right here at hand, the clasp is just too big and chunky. They need to put more taper on this and thin that up. It is fairly thin though. I would like if this had a curve to it. Lastly, the custom Explorer homage. This is probably the most comfortable on wrist just because it's 85 grams. It's kind of a fun watch. Reminds me of an older Rolex. For obvious reasons. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and try and figure out how to lay these all out for the Lume. Alright, so here we go. Lower left corner, Armida A6. Then we have the Smiths Everest just to the right of that. Then the Borealis Adraga to the right of the Smiths. And then to the very far right, the Traska Summiteer. Top left corner we have Traska Commuter, and top right corner the custom Explorer homage watch. So if I were to rank these, I would say Smith's is number 1 with the Lume brightness. Armida, number 2, this one here. Then a Borealis Adraga. Then Trashka Summitier version 1. Version 2 is supposed to have better Lume. And then Commuter, and then the custom Explorer watch. Yeah, the Commuter is not as good by eye as what it looks like on camera. Yep, definitely no complaints with the Lume on the Smith. So that will conclude today's video. Wasn't expecting to go this long, but I think I went through it all pretty quickly. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in the comment section or send me an email. As always, appreciate you guys watching, and catch you on the next video. Yeah, and please do the normal YouTube stuff. Subscribe if you haven't. Like the video if you liked it. And again, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of these watches, and talk to you guys soon.